you seem to dislike the drama aspect of these things.
Yes.
And that's probably my favorite part of all of this. I call it practicing philosophy, where we're actually like engaging in what somebody did, what they should or shouldn't have done, what would have been better, what would have been worse, like actually getting into the ethics of it and really looking at real life scenarios, not just these, make believe hypotheticals, but we're looking at real people and what they're actually doing and what in assessing it that way. And I love all of that.
If people like a drama like Game of Thrones or any other movie drama, it's not hard to understand why people would be interested in like the Destiny Mr. Girl thing. It's
exactly
like Batman,
what I say.
It's two, whatever they are, Batman and Joker.
I literally explain it just like this all the time, where I'm literally any book or any story always has to start with a problem to create a story. And so, yes, everybody likes problems. They all like drama. That's what they want to watch.
Yeah, it's archetypal. When you have someone like Mr. Girl who's like very intelligent and very, I don't know what the word is, capable or emotionally knows what he's doing with emotions. I don't even know how to describe it. And you have someone like Destiny who's like pure cold rationality. That's an interesting thing. It's like Batman versus the Joker. And it's contextualized in a way that we all know the context, right? So if you follow like politics and stuff, you understand all of the context surrounding the story. So it's the difference between watching a Star Wars movie for the first time and watching the exact same Star Wars movie, but knowing all of the Star Wars context and, Revan and the Great Sith Wars and all that stuff. You have a much richer appreciation of what you see. Or even like watching football. Like if you've played football and you understand like zone blocking and all the minute details, the experience of watching the exact same thing visually is a lot heightened. And so watching like a Mr. Girl, all that drama and stuff is interesting. I avoid it because I don't want to get sucked into it, because it's like I see all the crazy shit of like, well, we're exchanging our Discord IMs and like when I met with them and we had sex, it's just like, oh my god, bro.
Shoot, I inserted myself right into the middle of all of it.
I try to keep a nice hypothetical force field in between, but I do recognize the value. And it's interesting because I have like friends who don't care about politics at all, don't care about like this space, wouldn't care about this space at all, yet they do the exact same thing except with like barstool drama. Barstool sports, like Dave Portnoy and Big Cat and all these people, PFT commentator.
Yeah, like ESPN does this all the time, where they like pick up on a little Twitter beef between two people, crap like that.
Exactly. We evolved to value gossip and all that shit, and it was like
100%.
I think so. I get it.
That's what's
there's
his
a lot
name?
of risk. People getting swatted and shit for like cheating on each other or whatever. I'm purposely being vague to not cause any drama, but I just think there are definitely some crazy fucking people.
And I enjoy I like people who are different. I like people who are out there, because I'm a lot closer to like Destiny than I am somebody like Mr. Girl. So I like people like Mr. Girl. I like people like Lav. I like these sorts of people because they are just very, very different from me.
Should we gossip about Destiny? I'm okay with gossiping about Destiny because he's a huge public figure, and that's not the smaller people stuff. It's I'm less interested in. Destiny to me is pure cold rationality. Would you agree?
For the most part, generally.
I think he's pure embodied intelligence. Have you seen his Dr. K interview? You see his whole thing about his grandma? Do you think that whole thing with his grandma has an impact on who he is today and how he acts?
Just to tell the audience.
Yeah, anything stick out?
Yeah, of course, some stuff does. I had a very strange relationship with my grandma. I spent a lot of time. Oh God. I swear to God, growing up, there's like just really weird shit. But so my grandma was.
Yeah, I believe that.
Okay, my grandma, but for the most part, my life is pretty good. Okay, my grandma is very fucking crazy.
I believe that too.
Okay, she had weird problems. She would buy a dog and she would like kill it in like a year, and she did this like fucking 20 times. I don't know why. Where she'd like go to the pound, she'd get a dog, and she would carry it for about 6 to 12 months. And then she would say like, oh, it's sick, I need to go put it down, and I don't want to give it to somebody else because I think it might be hurt or whatever. And I remember that when I was pretty young, maybe around like 5th grade, I think she did this to 2 dogs that me and my little sister were like very attached to. I remember obviously being incredibly upset when that happened because they were like the 2 dogs that I liked the most. But then after that, I kind of stopped caring so much about each individual dog because I knew that it had like a 12-month timer on it basically.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And I don't know. I had a girlfriend whose mom literally did the same thing and was always getting new pets and then putting them down. And I don't know. I think that it probably has an effect on how you cope for sure. But I think
that
a lot
has
of
a
people.
massive effect. Now, I don't know all of the context. I only heard it once through his thing. So first off, to your point about like drama and all that stuff, I think this is important to talk about because for example, for me in therapy, I spent like 8 or 9 months in therapy. Like what I told you about, I grew up in a house with a lot of chaos, so I internalized external conflict. That was a conclusion it took me a very long time to reach, and I reached it and I recognize how that affects me now, among other things. So I think it's important. I think everyone needs to. Who you are as an adult, I think, is utterly and fundamentally shaped by your experiences in childhood. I think that's like psychology 101. I think people who disagree with that are in massive denial and cope. And so with like the Destiny thing, him being a huge figure and him talking about this, his grandma would buy 2 dogs a year or whatever when he was a real little kid, and then he got really attached to 2 of them, and he literally said, I learned to not get attached to things. And then I think later in that interview he says he views all relationships as transactional and all that, and it's like maybe he does know that that's affected him. It just seems like a massive cope to think that, oh, that's not like a huge element of how I act now, right? Because like Destiny is always rationalizing. He spends all day, every day, rationalizing. It's like Alex Jones with conspiracy theorists. Once Alex Jones decides that something is the result of globalists, it's over. He can come up with any rationalization. And once Destiny decides something, is this way or not, he can come up with any rationalization. And I think that's, I don't know, dangerous for him. But I think that's something that a lot of people do. Certainly I intellectualize and over-rationalize the shit out of things.
I think that lots of times events like that can help you really compartmentalize things and really like help you in life. And it doesn't necessarily mean that this is like unfinished, isn't the unresolved issues.
Sure.
Yes, not necessarily. These could be things that are actually helpful to a lot of people. I would say that a lot of my the issues that I had earlier on in life and all of the problems that I went through, I would say I'm happy that I went through all of those things because
the hottest fires hottest fires forge the strongest steel. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think Destiny's success is owed in part because of that.
Right. Well, and so lots of people
But that's
will
a very
say that
narrow
I'm like
measure of success. I don't know how.
Of course,
I don't know what
but
Destiny's life is outside.
It only has to do with like how, personality and the way that you deal with things. And I would say that lots of people think that I'm like overly stoic sometimes or overly even keeled. And I would say I'm happy that I'm this way.
Based on your comments about your libertarian cringe bullshit, I would absolutely not say that you're even keeled. But that's fine.